Welcome to the Becoming SuperHuman Podcast, where we interview extraordinary people to bring you the skills and strategies to overcome the impossible. And now, here's your host, Jonathan Levy.
This episode is brought to you by Become a Super Learner, the Masterclass. You guys, if you have ever wanted to learn things faster, to read faster and waste less time reading boring textbooks, if you've ever wanted to have near perfect memory for names, numbers, anything you want to learn, and expand your mind and retain information in a way that you never thought possible, well, then the Become a Super Learner Masterclass is exactly what you've been looking for. It's a 10-week program developed by myself and my mentors alongside some of the world's best memory experts and world record-holding memory champions. It'll take you from zero to super learning hero in just a matter of 10 weeks in about 30 minutes a day or less. Now, you can go ahead and sign up for a free trial with no credit card required. All you have to do is go to jle.vi/learn. And if you choose to pick up the full course, you will also get an incredible discount for listeners of this podcast only. So please make sure to check it out and support the show. And on to today's episode. This episode is brought to you by Organifi. You know, the one thing that literally every single diet and nutrition expert that we've had on the show seems to agree on is that we need to eat more veg and get our greens and consume all natural products. But let's be honest. How many of us actually have the time? Well, recently I had the opportunity to meet some of the folks over at Organifi, and I've been absolutely blown away by them and their product. You see, Organifi is an organic superfood green juice powder that literally covers all your nutritional bases without having to eat 5 bowls of kale. It saves you loads of time, loads of money, and a lot of chewing. And really all you have to do is add water and drink it. So to check it out and save an incredible 20% off your first order, visit Organifi.com. That's Organifi.com and use coupon code SuperHuman at checkout. Greetings, super friends, and welcome to a very special episode of the Becoming SuperHuman Podcast. I'm going to get into why it's special in a moment, but before we do that, I want to read you another awesome 5-star review from Small Whale Boy from the United States of America, who says, life-changing. This podcast has been a catalyst for change in my life. Jonathan has interviewed so many amazing people, and their expertise is passed down to the listeners. Because of this podcast, I've started eating healthier and delicious food, waking up earlier and with more energy, and being incredibly more productive. Thanks to Jonathan for putting together such an incredible source of information in this podcast. Wow. Thank you so much to Small Whale Boy. I really appreciate that. I'm absolutely touched to have had an impact on your life. And if you haven't left a review, guys, well, please do. I would absolutely love to read it on the air. So on to this episode. Why is it special? Well, it turns out that not every week do I turn 30 years old. In fact, this milestone, which happens on March 18th, is, well, this week. And I wanted to do something very special. I wanted to commemorate really just the very blessed and very unique life that I've had the opportunity to live up until this point. And I wanted to reflect back on just what the heck I've learned over the last 30 years. So years ago, I was really greatly inspired by Ryan Alice, who on his 30th birthday published a 1,284 slide presentation aptly named Lessons from My 20s. And I very strongly recommend that you guys check that out at hive.org/20s if you haven't already. But in any case, in that slide presentation, Ryan shares just about everything that he's learned over the period of 10 years as an entrepreneur and a thought leader and a human being. He spans life, entrepreneurship, and the world. And while a lot of these things were lessons that I had already learned myself, I found the idea to be deeply impactful. And if I'm honest, a lot of the things I learned in Ryan's slides dramatically impacted the way that I lived out my own 20s. So for that contribution and inspiration, I was deeply grateful, and I still am. I'm also deeply grateful to Gretchen Rubin, who in her fantastic and pragmatic book on becoming a better human being called Better Than Before, shares a wonderfully catchy concept that she calls, quote, secrets of adulthood, end quote. So basically, a secret of adulthood is a powerful and simple lesson that can only be learned by, well, growing up and maturing. Now, they range from fanciful and fun, like try not to let yourself get too hungry, to very serious and very inspiring. For example, what you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. They range from productivity, such as working is one of the most dangerous forms of procrastination, to interpersonal relations. Quote, we're more like other people than we suppose and less like other people than we suppose. And they even go into self-esteem. Quote, the more we accept ourselves and what's right for us, the more other people accept us. So I very much enjoyed Gretchen's little secrets as I found them sprinkled throughout her work, and I found them to be a wonderfully neat and tidy way to sum up the wisdom that one has accumulated throughout their life experience. Immediately after reading her book, I began collecting a list of my own, and that list is what you guys will be hearing today. Some of them might be strange. Some of them might be controversial. Many were learned in deeply cherished books, and still many in passing conversations with complete strangers. Some of them learned at the highest of highs, and others at the most harrowing and horrific of lows. Some are completely unique, and others simply build on those before them. But from my perspective, each of them is unquestionably true, at least in my life experience. With that said, I do invite you to let me know what you guys think. Has life taught you some of these same lessons, or perhaps others that maybe I have yet to learn? We're each so unique, and we're so shaped by the paths that we travel on. And I find it the most fascinating just to think about how much those paths often converge. And now, without further ado, I bring you 30 secrets of adulthood that life has taught me so far. Number 1, life isn't prix-fixe, it's a la carte. Ultimately, you choose how the course of your life will go, including which components to leave in and which components to take out. Number 2, happiness is a choice and a method of travel, not a destination or an outcome. Number 3, framing is everything. What actually happens is far less important than how you choose to view it. As Shakespeare said, quote, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Number 4, those we love, particularly women, are the most powerful mirrors in the world. They shine a light on your shortcomings and strengths and challenge you to be better. Embrace this and be thankful for it and for them. Number 5, you cannot appreciate something in another unless you see it in yourself. Conversely, you cannot loathe something in another unless you see it in yourself. Pay special attention to the things you do and do not like in others. These are the things that you do and do not like in yourself. Number 6, everyone is responsible for their own emotions. This means that not only are you responsible for the way you are presently feeling, but also that nobody else makes you feel anything. Others do what they do. Only you choose how it will make you feel. Number 7, you will worry much less what others think about you when you realize how rarely they do. Number 8, never, ever encourage people who bring you down to stick around. Being in your life is a privilege, not a right. Number 9, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose them wisely. Number 10, money cannot buy happiness, but there are few, if any, problems that it can't solve if applied intelligently. Number 11. You can only help people who help themselves, and there are more people who need your help than there is time to offer them. Invest your efforts deliberately where they will create the most impact. Number 12. Smile. It does you and everyone around you a world of good. Number 13. Remember that a person's name is, to that person, the sweetest sound in any language. Pay attention to people's names, remember them, and use them. Number 14. Listening is quite possibly the most important interpersonal skill there is. Number 15. You are not your mind, or your thoughts, or your job, or your ego. You are mere consciousness. Number 16. Depression is the act of living in the past, something that no longer exists. Anxiety is living in the future, which has yet to. All happiness and joy come from mindfulness, the act of living in the present moment. With enough practice, you can learn to live free from sorrow simply by being present. Number 17. Acceptance alongside presence is the key to living completely free of sorrow. All discomfort and anguish in life comes from the inability to gracefully accept your present circumstances. Number 18. The idea that we must be attached to people, places, and things is largely a misconception. Letting go is a far greater act of grace and wisdom than holding on ever was. People, things, and events naturally enter and exit our lives like tides. Some return, some do not. As they say, quote, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, end quote. Trust this inevitability. Number 19. There is no such thing as objective reality, only the subjective realities of each individual person. No one person's reality is any more real or accurate than yours. This is especially important for creating self-confidence. Number 20. A leader is the person whose reality is embraced by others as the dominant one. The difference between a leader and a tyrant is the extent to which he or she allows that reality to be collectively and collaboratively shaped. Number 21. Everyone on this planet, whether or not they realize it, has been psychologically damaged by their parents. How and how much is the luck of the draw? Number 22. Most, if not all, bad moods can be resolved by either exercise, sleep, music, friends, or family. Number 23. Spiritual exploration is like flying a kite. It gives you more perspective and experience the further out you go, but if you're not careful, the string can break, and if that happens, there's a chance you'll never be able to be pulled back. Always maintain a connection to this earth. Number 24. All knowledge must come from the outside, but all wisdom must come from within. Number 25. In all reality, we are each fundamentally alone in our existence on this planet. Nobody can ever truly understand what we are seeing, thinking, or feeling as we do. This experience is, in many ways, what unites us. Everyone you meet is going through something you have absolutely no way of understanding. But this reality is, simultaneously, both deeply, paralyzingly terrifying and awe-inspiringly beautiful. Number 26. Karma not only exists, but if you pay close enough attention, you can manifest that which you desire. This is often referred to as the law of attraction or the secret. Number 27. The more you try to shape the way others perceive you, the worse that perception will be. Confidence, charm, and charisma come from a unique combination of kindness, being vulnerable enough to trust that others will think highly of you, and a lack of concern for whether or not they actually will. Number 28. Love and affection are not finite resources that can only be split so many ways. They are abundant resources that replenish themselves the more you consume and expend them. The more you give, the more you have to give. The more you accept, the more you receive. This represents a stark contrast to societal norms. Number 29. The real golden rule isn't to treat others as you would wish to be treated. It's to treat others as they wish to be treated. Number 30. Lying is an egregious offense, not because it's an attempt to obstruct reality. There's no such thing as reality. Rather, all lies are an attempt to willfully and knowingly manipulate another person's reality to be different from one's own. For whatever end it is employed, lying exists to persuade another human being into seeing the world in a way that we ourselves do not. For this reason, it is as divisive as it is burdensome and is to be avoided at all costs. And finally, one bonus to top it off, and one that I've really only recently come to learn. Number 31. The older you get, the faster time seems to go. Though it may seem that time crawls during youth, cherish and enjoy this because each passing day will seem shorter than the last. Life, ultimately, is short, so do everything you can to savor it. So those are the lessons that life has taught me, guys, and I would love to hear what you guys think of them. I would love to hear what life has taught you, and I'd love to hear if any of those were new or surprising for you. Thank you guys, as always, for your time and your attention and your support. Take care. All right, super friends, that's it for this week's episode. We hope you really enjoyed it and learned a ton of applicable stuff that can help you go out there and overcome the impossible. If so, please do us a favor and leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher or however you found this podcast. In addition to that, we are always looking for great guest posts on the blog or awesome guests right here on the podcast. So if you know somebody or you are somebody or you have thought of somebody who would be a great fit for the show or for our blog, please reach out to us either on Twitter or by email. Our email is info@becomingasuperhuman.com. Thanks so much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Becoming Superhuman Podcast. For more great skills and strategies, or for links to any of the resources mentioned in this episode, visit www.becomingasuperhuman.com/podcast. We'll see you next time.